The year is 2025. Donald Trump, back in the Oval Office, has wasted no time in making his mark. A wave of executive orders has swept across the nation, each one sending ripples through the intricate web of the American economy. From tariffs to energy, immigration to climate change, these orders represent a dramatic shift in policy. The question on everyone's mind is simple yet profound. What will the economic fallout be? These are not mere policy tweaks, folks. We're talking about seismic shifts with the potential to reshape the economic landscape for years to come. Some argue these orders are bold strokes of genius designed to make America great again. Others see them as reckless gambles, a recipe for economic disaster. One thing is certain, the stakes are high and the American people are watching with bated breath. As we delve into the details of each executive order, we must remember that the economy is a delicate ecosystem. Every action has a reaction, and unintended consequences are always a possibility. The true impact of these orders will unfold over time. Buckle up, America, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. One of the first executive orders reintroduced tariffs on imported goods, aiming to boost domestic manufacturing. This move has been met with mixed reactions. While some American manufacturers are optimistic, others worry about the increased cost of raw materials. Another significant order focused on energy, rolling back regulations to revive coal and oil industries while cutting subsidies for renewable energy. This has sparked a fierce debate between environmentalists and industry advocates, each side predicting vastly different outcomes for the economy and the planet. On the immigration front, new restrictions have been put in place, affecting labor markets and industries reliant on immigrant workers. Sectors like agriculture and technology are already feeling the strain as they struggle to fill positions and maintain productivity. Climate change policies have also seen a dramatic shift, with the U.S. withdrawing from international agreements and scaling back domestic initiatives. Critics warn of long-term environmental damage, while supporters argue for economic growth and energy independence. The immediate impacts of these orders are already being felt across various sectors, but the full extent of their consequences remains to be seen. As we navigate this new economic landscape, only time will tell whether these bold moves will lead to prosperity or peril. First up on our whirlwind tour of Trumpian economics is the issue of tariffs. Remember those? They're back, baby, and they're bolder than ever. Trump has decided that the best way to protect American jobs is to slap hefty taxes on goods imported from our closest trading partners, Mexico, Canada, and China. Now, I'm no economist, but even I can tell you that tariffs rarely work out the way they're intended. Sure, they might protect a few select industries in the short term, but in the long run, they often lead to higher prices for consumers and retaliation from other countries. Take the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, for example. It aimed to protect American farmers, but ended up worsening the Great Depression. History shows that tariffs can trigger trade wars, which can be devastating for global economies. Experts warn that Trump's tariffs could lead to similar long-term economic disruptions. Consumers might face higher prices, and American businesses could suffer from retaliatory tariffs. In the interconnected world of today, protectionism can have far-reaching consequences, affecting not just the U.S., but economies worldwide. Next on the agenda, we have Trump's decision to withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement, again, because apparently, once wasn't enough. This time he's added a little flourish by declaring that climate change is a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. Classic Trump. The economic consequences of climate change are already being felt around the world, from more frequent and severe natural disasters to disruptions in agriculture and rising sea levels. For instance, hurricanes and floods have caused billions in damages, while droughts have devastated crops, leading to higher food prices. By withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, Trump is signaling that the United States doesn't care about addressing this global crisis. This short-sighted decision could have dire economic consequences in the long run. Coastal cities may face increased flooding, requiring expensive infrastructure upgrades, while investments in renewable energy could be stifled, hindering economic growth and job creation. Additionally, the U.S. could lose its competitive edge in the global market as other countries advance their green technologies and policies. Ignoring climate change not only jeopardizes the environment but also risks significant economic fallout both domestically and internationally. Section 4. Drilling down on energy, the complexities of domestic production. Trump has issued an executive order aimed at boosting domestic energy production. His goal? To achieve energy dominance and make America energy independent. Sounds great, right? Well, the reality is a bit more complicated. His plan relies heavily on increasing production of fossil fuels. He's rolled back environmental regulations and opened up more public lands to drilling, all in the name of creating jobs and lowering energy prices. But increasing oil production is expensive and comes with environmental risks. It could also have negative long-term consequences for renewable energy industries. Environmental risks include oil spills, habitat destruction, and water contamination. These activities contribute to climate change, which has far-reaching impacts on our planet. Moreover, focusing on fossil fuels can stifle innovation and investment in renewable energy technologies. This could hinder the growth of industries that are crucial for a sustainable future. Renewable energy not only helps combat climate change but also creates jobs and promotes energy security. Investing in renewables can lead to a more resilient and diversified energy economy. Section 5. Government Gridlock, the Freeze on Hiring and Regulation. Trump has decided to implement a hiring freeze across the federal government. No more new hires for those pesky government agencies, except for the Department of Defense. But wait, there's more. Trump has also ordered a freeze on new regulations. Any rules or regulations not finalized are now on hold. This could have far-reaching economic consequences. Small businesses might struggle without new regulations that could level the playing field. Environmental protections could be delayed, leading to potential harm to ecosystems. Healthcare services might face staffing shortages, affecting patient care. Financial markets could react negatively to the uncertainty, impacting investments. Infrastructure projects might be delayed, affecting jobs and economic growth. Gap 3S, Section 6, International Reactions and Global Implications. While the domestic impact of Trump's executive orders is significant, the international community is also paying close attention. Allies and trading partners are expressing concern over the abrupt policy shifts. The hiring freeze and regulatory halt could strain diplomatic relations, as foreign governments rely on stable U.S. policies for economic planning. Countries that depend on U.S. imports and exports are particularly worried. The freeze on new regulations might disrupt international trade agreements, leading to increased tariffs and trade barriers. This could result in higher prices for consumers worldwide and a potential global economic slowdown. Moreover, Trump's stance on climate inaction is drawing sharp criticism from global leaders. Nations that have committed to environmental agreements are concerned that the U.S. might backtrack on its promises, jeopardizing international efforts to combat climate change. This could lead to diplomatic tensions, and even trade sanctions against the U.S. financial markets around the world are reacting with caution. Investors are wary of the uncertainty brought about by these executive orders, leading to volatility in stock markets and foreign exchange rates. The ripple effects could impact global economic stability, affecting everything from commodity prices to international investments. As the world watches, the question remains, how will these executive orders shape the global economic landscape? The international community is holding its breath, hoping for clarity and stability in the wake of these sweeping changes. Gap 3S, Section 7, the political fallout. As the dust begins to settle on Trump's executive orders, one question looms large over the political landscape. How will these decisions impact the upcoming elections? Trump's aggressive policy shifts are creating a ripple effect across the political spectrum. Supporters argue that these moves are necessary to fulfill campaign promises and bring about the change they voted for. However, critics are vocal, labeling these actions as reckless and damaging to both the economy and international relations. The hiring freeze and regulatory halt have sparked heated debates in Congress. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are grappling with the potential long-term consequences. Republican leaders are pushing to rally their base, emphasizing the need for bold action to address systemic issues. Meanwhile, Democrats are seizing the opportunity to highlight the chaos and uncertainty, using it as a rallying cry to mobilize voters. Public opinion is sharply divided. Polls show a nation split, with some praising the bold steps and others fearing the fallout. This division is likely to play a crucial role in upcoming elections, influencing voter turnout and party strategies. Campaigns are already adjusting their messages, with candidates tailoring their platforms to either support or criticize the executive orders. The political ads are ramping up, with each side painting a starkly different picture of the nation's future. The media is also playing a significant role, amplifying the debate and shaping public perception. News outlets are scrutinizing every detail, from the economic impact to international reactions, adding fuel to the political fire. As the election season heats up, the executive orders will undoubtedly be a central issue. Will Trump's bold moves galvanize his base and secure more seats for his party? Or will the backlash and uncertainty drive voters to seek change? The political landscape is more volatile than ever, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Only time will tell how these executive orders will shape the future of American politics. One thing is certain, the upcoming elections will be a defining moment, influenced heavily by the fallout from these sweeping changes. Gap 3S Section 8, The Pulse of the People. Beyond the political arenas and economic implications, it's the everyday lives of American citizens that are most affected by Trump's executive orders. Public opinion is a mosaic of diverse perspectives, reflecting the complexity of these sweeping changes. On one side, there are those who feel a renewed sense of hope. Supporters believe that these measures are a long-overdue course correction, aimed at restoring American jobs and protecting national interests. They argue that the hiring freeze and regulatory cuts will streamline government operations, making them more efficient and less burdensome for taxpayers. For these individuals, the executive orders represent a bold stand against the status quo, a promise of a brighter future where American industries thrive once more. However, not everyone shares this optimism. Critics voice deep concerns about the immediate social consequences. The hiring freeze, for instance, has left many job seekers in limbo, particularly recent graduates and those in sectors heavily reliant on government contracts. The halt on regulations has sparked fears about environmental degradation and public health risks, as safeguards are rolled back in the name of economic progress. Communities across the nation are grappling with the uncertainty. In industrial towns, workers are anxious about the future of their employment. Small business owners are caught in a web of confusion, unsure how these changes will affect their operations. Families worry about the potential rise in living costs and the availability of essential services. The social fabric is being tested as people navigate these turbulent times. Social media platforms have become battlegrounds for these debates, amplifying voices from all corners of society. Hashtags supporting and opposing the executive orders trend daily, highlighting the deep divisions within the public. Viral videos and posts capture raw, unfiltered reactions, bringing the human element to the forefront of the discussion. Protests and rallies have become common sights in cities and towns alike. Advocacy groups are mobilizing, organizing marches and sit-ins to express their dissent. On the flip side, rallies in support of the executive orders are also drawing large crowds, demonstrating the passionate backing from Trump's base. The social consequences of these executive orders are profound and far-reaching. They are reshaping the way Americans interact with their government and each other. As the nation stands at this crossroads, the public's response will play a crucial role in determining the path forward. Will these policies unite the country in a shared vision of progress, or deepen the divides that already exist? Only time will tell how the pulse of the people will influence the unfolding narrative. But one thing is certain, the voice of the public is more powerful than ever, and it will shape the future in ways we are only beginning to understand. Gap 3S, Section 9, Legal Battles on the Horizon. As the dust begins to settle on Trump's sweeping executive orders, a new front is opening up in the battle over their implementation, the courtroom. Legal experts and advocacy groups are gearing up for a series of challenges that could shape not just the fate of these directives, but the future of American governance itself. Critics argue that some of these executive orders overstep the bounds of presidential authority, infringing on powers that should reside with Congress or the states. They point to the Constitution, emphasizing the importance of checks and balances in preventing any one branch of government from wielding too much power. Legal scholars are dissecting every word of the orders, looking for grounds to challenge their legality in federal courts. Already, lawsuits are being filed. Environmental organizations are contesting the rollback of regulations designed to protect public lands and waterways. Labor unions are challenging the hiring freeze, claiming it violates workers' rights and disrupts essential public services. Civil rights groups are also joining the fray, arguing that some measures disproportionately affect vulnerable communities. These legal battles are more than just procedural disputes. They have profound implications for the future of executive power in America. If the courts uphold these challenges, it could set precedents that limit the scope of presidential authority. reinforcing the role of Congress and the judiciary in shaping national policy. On the other hand, if the challenges are dismissed, it could embolden future presidents to issue even more far-reaching executive orders. The stakes are high, and the outcomes uncertain. As these cases wind their way through the legal system, the nation watches with bated breath. Will the judicial branch act as a check on executive power, or will it affirm the president's ability to enact sweeping changes unilaterally? The answers to these questions will reverberate through the halls of power for years to come. In the meantime, the legal uncertainty adds another layer of complexity to an already turbulent political landscape. Federal agencies and state governments are caught in a web of conflicting directives, unsure whether to proceed with implementing the orders or await the outcome of the legal challenges. Businesses and individuals, too, are left in a state of limbo, uncertain about how these potential legal reversals will impact their lives and livelihoods. As we stand at this critical juncture, one thing is clear: the battle over Trump's executive orders is far from over. The courtroom will be the next battleground, and the decisions made there will shape the contours of American governance for generations to come. The legal challenges ahead will test the resilience of our democratic institutions and the enduring principle of checks and balances that lies at the heart of our Constitution. Section 6. The Cost of Living Crisis, a Directive Facing Resistance. Amidst all the chaos and uncertainty, Trump has issued a directive aimed at addressing the rising cost of living. Finally, something we can all get behind. Except the details of this directive are about as clear as a mud puddle. Trump has instructed federal agencies to take all appropriate measures to alleviate the financial burden on Americans. But what exactly does that mean? Well, your guess is as good as mine. The directive includes measures like tax relief and subsidies, but the specifics are vague. Small business owners and families are left wondering how and when they will see any real benefits. Public frustration is mounting as the lack of clarity fuels more questions than answers. Lawmakers are also divided on how to implement these measures effectively. Experts warn that without clear guidelines, the directive could lead to more confusion and inefficiency. Despite the challenges, there is hope that with proper execution, the directive could provide much-needed relief. For now, all we can do is wait and see how this unfolds.